I'm at this job today where we've got this texture ceiling. It's like a stomp texture that was knocked down, but years ago somebody was up in the attic and they stepped through, and it's just been a patch, a big, probably 3 foot by 16-inch patch on the ceiling for all these years, and it has not cracked or anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to blend it in, but the first step one is going to be to fill this recess with a setting compound. I'm going to use a 20-minute compound, and then later today I'm going to come back in and probably put another skim coat over it, knock down some of the texture that's adjacent to where we're repairing, and then tomorrow I'll come in and try to blend this in. What I'm using for my first coat is Easy Sand 20, a setting compound. I'm going to mix up some of this in my pan. Okay, so I've got it all filled. It's pretty flat now. So the next thing is going to be either to put another skim coat on it to get a little smoother, which I may not have to do. Then I got to try to figure out how to blend this texture in. The hardest part of blending a texture in is right along the edge. See, because right now I got it flattened out. That's going to be the tricky part, blending it in so it doesn't look like it's a patch, of course. But because we've got these flat spots around here, I may take a sponge and just wash it in a little bit to get rid of some of that little weird transition. Okay, so this is the repair that I did the other day. I've actually put 2 coats of joint compound on it to get it smoothed out. And today I'm going to apply the texture. But the first thing I'm going to do, I'm not too worried about these little tool marks and things, but what I don't like is this edge, the way it's not really properly blended into the old texture. So I'm taking a wet sponge here, and I'm just going to try to wash that. See how I blended it in so it's more subtle? That's what I'm trying to do. I want to have more of a subtle transition from the repair to the old texture. I mean, I could sand this, but I think sponging is a pretty good alternative. So the whole edges I'm going to do is around the whole perimeter of this patch. Pretty difficult things to blend, and the texture is going to be difficult, but another part of this repair that's going to be difficult is blending in the colors, because this is going to be a very absorbent surface compared to the rest of the ceilings that's been painted for years. So the porosity is quite different. So as soon as this is painted, it's going to flash through a little bit different. So there's probably going to take multiple coats of paint. All right, what I'm trying to do is match this texture. It was done a long time ago, and I really don't know what was used. I have a feeling it was a roller. So what I have is a roller with probably a good inch, maybe inch and a half nap on it. And I'm using the +3 joint compound that I have thinned down with water. So I'm going to dip into that, roll it on, and just kind of see if I'm happy with the initial texture, because after it sets for a few minutes, I got to take a wide taping knife and just knock it down slightly. So let's see what happens initially here. I haven't tended to blend out too much because I don't want it to be dripping or take too long to set up, but it's pretty thin. I think I can get to the ceiling easily with it. Now I think when this ceiling was done, it was rolled on in this direction. So that's going to be the next step, is to create a pretty deep texture and roll it on in the same direction I think it was done initially. Luckily, the texture was not perfectly uniform. So So that's to our benefit here. I got a little heavy right here, I know that. Let me move some of that over. All right, let's try that. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm not too thrilled with that way I have this transition over on this edge. So I'm going to put a little bit heavier right through there. See what I can do with it. There. And right here I got a little bit of that same problem. There. Now, the trick is you have to wait. Let this tack up a little bit. I'm going to have to wait 10 or 15 minutes to let it start to take a little bit of a set and then wipe it down with a wide taping knife. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to knock this down. In other words, I'm going to pull this taping knife along it, keeping it quite flat. So you just want to knock the points off. I've got it a little bit wet. I got it wet by dipping it in my pan where I have a little bit of water in it. I'm doing that so it doesn't drag on me. So I'm just going to pull this across very gently. You'll notice as I'm doing this, it's flat because I'm not trying to remove compound. I'm just trying to wipe it down. Very gently pulling it across. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm just going to use a small knife along this edge because I just want to blend it in a little bit better. I don't know, it's not perfect, but the whole ceiling is not perfect, which of course is to my advantage. So I think I'm going to be happy with that. Okay, so what I'm suggesting to the homeowner here is that because this main ceiling is pretty shiny, I suggested that he prime this area, which is when it's dry, it's going to be very flat. And then before he goes and paints the whole ceiling, paint just the repaired area with a satin or a kind of a glossy paint. And then let that dry and repaint the whole ceiling. I think he's going to go with more of a flatter or an eggshell finish on this. Because right now the bigger issue is going to be blending in the glossiness of this ceiling.